We begin with breaking news, and tell me you're not tired of hearing this song. More traffic problems at I-85 and I-285. A brush fire had parts of I-285 absolutely shut down until a few minutes ago. 11 Alive Skycam is over the scene at Spaghetti Junction. You can see probably, well, you can guess the fire is out. The crews are still trying to put out some hot spots. Traffic is still a mess right now. What is this, the third night in the last 4 weeknights that a lot of you and your loved ones and your friends and family have been delayed by major traffic jams there at Spaghetti Junction? We'll keep you updated on this, especially if there's any need to later on. This has been a burning issue now for weeks, and late today, 11 Alive News obtained a 911 call. It seems to lend credibility to an informant's claims that he was asked to lie about the shooting death of 92-year-old Katherine Johnston. 11 Alive's Duffy Dixon has been listening to the tape, working on reaction from our newsroom. Duffy, what have you heard, and what could you tell us? Prosecutors now turning to microscopic evidence in the case of two teenagers. They're accused of torturing and killing a puppy. Now, we do want to warn you, some of the testimony is graphic. Justin and Joshua Mulder are charged with torturing that puppy, then baking it in an oven. 11 Alive's Jerry Carnes has more from day 3 of testimony. Parts of the highway had to be closed for hours. Adding to the mess, a truck lost its load of sheet metal on the on-ramp to I-285. Those of you who travel near there have just been hammered by bad traffic lately. Well, to fix that and other traffic problems around Atlanta, it's going to cost a lot of money. That was the message to state lawmakers today. Democrats and Republicans have fought in the past over the best traffic solutions. What is it? Roads versus mass transit, for instance. But now that the election's over, some leaders in both parties said today that the answer is not A or B, it is all of the above. Plus some new ideas, like toll express lanes, they'd call them hot lanes. And lawmakers will have to find ways to pay for it all.
We've got to look at every type of transportation, every type. I mean, we all think of transportation as a highway. It's the ports and it's the airports.
So where would the money come from? Well, some proposed ideas include increasing the state sales tax or gas tax or a special regional sales tax. Lots of tax. Let's get a check of weather with Paul now. Paul, it's one of those days where you almost expected to see the daffodils start popping out of the ground.
66 degrees.
Triathlon trainer Scott Rigsby is in the deep end of the world's great athletes. He's competed in a remarkable 10 triathlons in the past 18 weeks. Swim a mile, ride 50, run 13. And he's done it in a way no one else in the whole country has.
I became the first double amputee in the United States to ever do an Olympic distance triathlon on prosthetics. I did a 5K in 30 minutes, Peachtree Road Race in 67. I'm not the lightest fella.
His right leg was ripped off in a truck accident about 20 years ago in South Georgia.
It's just like a sleeve that rolls over.
He lost the leg, but says the wreck was full of miracles.
Out of nowhere, that's who arrived. A tow truck driver. Nobody called him. He just stopped by and said, hey, do you guys need some help? Lifted the weight off of me, or I would have died. I'll put these biking legs on.
The second leg came off, believe it or not, by his own choice.
It was a great idea, but it just didn't work.
Many surgeries to fix it weren't effective. He had it amputated 8 years ago.
It wasn't a tormented decision.
The last cut freed him.
I'm like Ricky Bobby, I like to go fast.
Switching legs between events cost Scott at least 10 minutes over the other racers.
Transition-wise, mine's twice as long.
But that doesn't stop him either.
I just want to be a trendsetter for double amputees. I want to be a barrier breaker. I want to destroy barriers.
Ted Hall, 11 Alive News.
In Atlanta, this is a major event. This is history. In Georgia, this is historic. In the entire South, this is a huge event, but Coretta Scott King is also a world figure. This is, people all across the world are paying their respects now to the First Lady of the Civil Rights Movement. A dear friend of Coretta Scott King is a special guest joining us now here in our studios at 11 Alive. Former UN Ambassador Andrew Young joining us. Mr. Young, thank you very much for being here. What are your thoughts as you watch what's going on?
Well, you know, it's always hard to realize that we do have to come to an end.
Mrs. King is one of the most respected women in the world for her public persona. What was she like in private?
You know, she didn't change very much.
It's about a 2-mile ride from the Willie Watkins Funeral Home to the state capitol, and the ceremony, the pomp and circumstance, the import of this all is in striking contrast to 1968 when Coretta Scott King's husband died and was not allowed to lie in state in the state capitol. The state government didn't shut down for him. And some folks feel that this is in some small way an effort to make up for that just a little bit.
11 Live's Ted Hall is in New Orleans for the historic game. Ted, the Falcons are doing their part to help out while they're in the Big Easy. Is that right?
They're doing quite a bit down here. In fact, they made a specific effort to try to help out the people down here, Karen. The dome. It's not the Super Bowl. It just kind of feels like it to the people down here because of this dome. That is a sign to the rest of the nation that New Orleans is going to come back. But to the people who live here in those neighborhoods that were so messed up, the signs they're seeing of a comeback are being played on a much smaller field. Nothing special to us, just a practice football scrimmage.
Oh, this is a huge step.
But here in the 7th Ward, this is really the first sign of life since before Katrina.
Back to normal. It really does. It helps us, you know, this is our way of recuperating after something major as Katrina. This is our therapy.
This park was under 10 feet of water. 120 football uniforms and equipment ruined.
Hey, get out!
Help comes from 70 kids from Atlanta, bussed down by the Falcons and NFL to clean up this park.
I know if it was me, I'd kind of be sad if I lose my home or something like that, so I do feel sorry for the people that were here.
It shows our kids that other kids around the country care about them. You know, they're willing to come down and help them get their lives back together.
Go!
Coach Ernest Geathers used to have 140 kids and 5 teams here. Today, none. Nobody lives around here anymore.
We did a heck of a job today.
These players are from other parts of town.
Thank you all for coming back to the city, definitely helping us rebuild our city.
But today, thanks to kids from Atlanta.
1, 2, 3.
Maybe next year.
We just love to have, you know, help come from other parts of the country. You know, we need the help. You know, we really need the help.
Did you folks notice some of those kids were wearing flag football jerseys? As you might guess, their equipment was just washed away. They're at least 4 weeks behind. Last season basically washed out. This season they're at least 4 weeks behind getting the football season started. It took that long to get kids together. All around that park, the buildings are washed away and just skeletons of buildings there. Karen, kind of a surprise around the dome here. Many of the buildings, in fact, some of the high-rise luxury hotels are still empty. The dome was made a priority by the state because the governor believes if they can get that thing going, that is the key to recovery here in New Orleans. Karen?
Well, we know National Spotlight will be on that dome and on the city of New Orleans tomorrow. Ted Hall, thanks.
It's a big game. Man, U2, Green Day, Goo Goo Dolls, it's crazy.
Okay, don't have too much fun, all right? Thanks.
Not yet.
What do you say, Buzz? Start us off, buddy.
Run hard,
Some of the greatest childhood memories are made on the ball field. Some of the deepest as well. Garrett Owens won't play baseball anymore. His twin Killian, the twin he played ball with, died of leukemia.
This one was the very last picture that we had taken of him at school.
After a year of intense pain, Killian's family decided that he would want them to do something to fight cancer.
And the government just isn't coming up with the money. The drug companies won't do it because there are only 13,000 children a year diagnosed, and that's just not a profit margin for them. So who's going to do it? Mums and dads.
Killian's mom, Grania, and the rest of her family started small.
It's 2 strikes still. 2 strikes. Be ready, Jacob. There you go. Take it, Evan.
At the end of the season, teams usually give their coach maybe $40, $50 gift certificate. Well, what if that money went to fight kids' cancer?
We were saying, oh, it would be nice to make maybe $5,000 in the first season.
They made $45,000.
I'd much rather the money go to the kids cancer research programs. The memories I get from coaching these kids is more than enough for myself.
That's 2 strikes, Bradley.
$50 a pop is adding up. Almost every team at this ballpark gives to coaches curing kids' cancer.
You got a runner at first.
So do parks in 19 states now in almost every sport. In just a year and a half, they've raised $350,000.
The program has just spread through word of mouth.
Here you go. First base.
But it starts with kids, some of whom can now claim they are helping to fight the disease that took one of their best friends.
That I might actually
help stop cancer that it might be a disease in the past.
There you go. Ted Hall, 11 Alive News. Jeff Williams has a heavy class load at Georgia.
Political science. That's been real fun.
Last year, he graduated at the top of his class at Dunwoody High School. He's got that midterm coming up, so the computer comes in handy.
PokerStars.com.
To win some money playing poker.
And everybody folded, so I won $25.
You just won $25 just in 5 seconds.
And Jack 4, I fold. Yeah, I did. 3-9.
Is that normal? I mean, for you, is this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
in just a couple of minutes, right in front of us, Jeff won $350.
And that's real money.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's Penny Ante for Jeff. 4 days ago, he was in Europe, Monte Carlo, playing in Europe's version of the World Series of Poker.
Middle pair right
the
now.
kid from Georgia won $1 million.
You had an ace nine.
Wow, I can't believe I won. You know, these players do this for a living. They're professionals. They've been playing for 20, 30 years on the circuit.
He qualified for the big game by winning some online tournaments.
All right.
Oh my gosh, I love my hand.
You love it.
Was that good poker?
Jeff wants to run for office someday. The youngest player in the tournament, the only one with braces, won the big tourney in front of 100 reporters. Proved he can handle pressure.
There's another win for you. That plus your $1 million, you got $1 million.